No, neither do I. Thank you, Michelle. So that would bring us down to presentations and special reports. Isabella County Administrator Controller.
No, neither do I. Thank you.
So, so that would bring us down to presentations and special reports. Isabella County Administrator Controller.
No, neither do I. Thank you.
So that would bring us down to presentations and special reports. Isabella County Administrator Controller.
Hold on, or it's all right. We understand.
It happens. Are we good to go now?
Yeah, I think we're good. Okay. Obviously, been doing a lot of fiscal year 23 budget work, if you can believe that. We started meetings last Monday, myself and accountant Melissa Franquist and accountant Chris Whitmer in meetings with departments. And I think we've had 11 so far. We're trying to round those out this week. Kind of an aggressive start to what the department requested budgets will be. Remember that first draft will come to finance. I believe it's June 14th. So can't wait to see where that big scary number comes in. We always know that first request is larger than the resources we have available to fund. So then the real work begins on it. I will say that the departments are making very appropriate requests. I haven't seen any that are out of line at this point. So I think you're going to have some good requests to consider. I do want to let you know my plan is to bring forward the ARPA work group recommendations for projects they would recommend for funding out of ARPA dollars, out of our direct ARPA dollars. I'll roll that in with the budget process and bring that forward for you to consider as we work through the budget process. There were a lot of personnel requests associated with the budget requests, not just for funding, but a lot of personnel requests for departments that apparently felt they were either not considered in the classification compensation study or weren't considered fairly, maybe. So the number of those coming forward, we do have a policy in place for reclassification requests, and I will be working on tightening down that procedure. The policy is for reclassification requests. Those do go to an outside third party, if you will, an outside company to consider the classification of those positions. So I don't believe that should be something that the administrator controller subjectively chooses, or even through a scoring mechanism. Our policy is that goes out to a third party. So I will be seeking out that third party going forward and tightening down that process. As we do have on the agenda tonight, a request for a department to make some changes. And I think in terms of the budget process, and as diligent as leadership is trying to be, I think it's going to be requests like that come with maybe some innovative funding ideas, or at least certainly general fund relief. I think we're going to be very open to looking at those requests that come forward. So we'll just keep that in mind. I know I had reported that Leanne Grinzinger was retiring out of administration. Her last day was Friday, May 13th. And so we've been looking at regrouping in the admin office to see what our true needs are. You know, I've been considering the deputy administrator controller position and whether that's going to be filled. It will not, at least this fiscal year. With Leanne retiring, we looked at her duties, and I think I had reported before that admin staff was taking on those duties and then serving to train the new person. Not that Leanne, we would definitely want to keep her further what she was doing if she would stay. She didn't stay. So we're just looking at a new way of doing things going forward. It's never a bad idea. In doing so, this kind of led to a new partnership with the treasurer's office, working with them and looking at the duties of our contracted director of financial services, who you notice is absent from the meeting today. So we looked at a lot of his duties, and between the treasurer's office and the staff accountants and admin, we are absorbing some of those duties. The contracted director of financial services, Steve Krinovic, is still a part of the team, but more of an on-call basis at this time. Okay, so I want to make sure I let you know his absence is noted, so I wanted to let you know why. The forecast that Steve Krinovic brought forward, the accountants will take that on, and as I said, that will become part of the quarterly budget reporting to the board. The delinquent tax revolving fund analysis, if it's needed, Treasurer Pickens has agreed that he would bring forward a recommendation in that regard on the analysis. Journal entries were a big part of what Steve Krinovic did on an ongoing basis, and the review of journal entries is something that the admin office and the treasurer's office have been doing on a recurring basis. We kind of check and balance each other, if you will. And according to the auditors, that's sufficient. And so we'll just be diligent in that duty going forward. So super excited for that partnership to grow and work together with the treasurer and administration going forward and helping us to carve out some funds in the budget in the process, working together. We're excited. I think this is even leading to more stuff as we talk with the treasurer, stuff they're doing and we're doing. Is that redundancy necessary? Is it needed? So there might be more efficiencies to come. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the goal setting session tomorrow night that the board has set for, I should say tomorrow afternoon, 2:00. And I did want to circle back, let the board know that Mark Griffiths put together a meeting with us. Sheriff was there, the city was there, I think the tribe was in attendance maybe too, with Eagle regarding the testing that they're doing in the downtown Mount Pleasant area. We learned that the testing that they're doing is from a contaminant they found back in the 90s. So there's not such an urgent concern about this. They're circling back and wanting to do more testing to see which way it's going. So the level of concern that we initially had isn't there. Chairman did sign the letters to give Eagle access, and we're working with Eagle for them to come in and do that. So just wanted to let you know that is moving forward. Sheriff's on board, and Director Griffiths is also on board. Really not much left to report. I do want to say this morning I was able to join the Voice of Mount Pleasant Task Force that was recently formed by the partnership of Convention and Visitors Bureau. The Community Foundation was there, CMU was at the table, just talking about the positive message that we as a community need to be collectively putting out there to not just the visitors, not just the townies, but to the whole area, and just working together, and how we all need really to do that, to toot each other's horns and stay positive. So the last thing I'd like to say, next week we have an off week, no committees, no full board meeting. I know. Jessica's excited. She's off. She's taking part of Friday off because there's precious few days in a year on Friday that she doesn't have to do agendas, right, and prepare those for you. So enjoy that time, Jessica. I will be off as well on medical leave Monday for roughly 2 weeks. I expect to be all out that first week and then probably working remotely the second week. So I'll look to join committees on Tuesday on Zoom. Jessica will be hosting. So if there's no questions for me, then that will complete my report.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard anything about the settlement of the opioid settlement?
Not recently. The last I had heard that monies were coming, were supposed to be coming in May, but I think something held that up. But the next step is we receive the monies and make a plan going forward for the many, many years that we're going to be receiving those.
18, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Thank you.
Many years. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Frost.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we have several appointments to boards and commissions, and I'll walk us through those. If any commissioners wish to speak on behalf of any of these folks, please chime in. The first one, A, would be consider appointing Aaron William Miller to serve as attorney magistrate for the county of Isabella upon the recommendation of the chief judge of the 76th District Court. So Judge Janes has recommended Aaron William Miller for that position. Item B, consider appointing Dr. Michael A. Markey as a medical examiner for the county of Isabella for a 4-year term effective January 1st, 2022 until December 31st, 2025. And if I remember correctly, this is a result of a retirement from our former medical examiner. Is that-
No,
No?
actually, this was, do you remember the deputy medical examiner that was just appointed at the last meeting?
I do. Yeah.
That was from a resignation, and in researching the process for that, we recognized that ME, Dr. Markey, is supposed to be appointed every 4 years
Oh,
and should have been done in January. So we're just kind of going retroactive with that appointment that we missed.
okay. Taking care of some work we forgot to do.
Thank you, Jessica. Yes.
Item C then would be consider appointing one member to the Isabella County Community Corrections Advisory Board as a representative affiliated with the applicable Workforce Investment Board or until a successor is appointed. And that applicant would be Kimberly Onstott. I don't know if anybody knows Ms. Onstott or wants to say anything about her. I noticed in her application, she manages Michigan Works offices in Gratiot and Isabella County and is on the ACAP governing board. Item D then would be consider appointing one member to the Isabella County Transportation Commission to complete a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2022, or until a successor is appointed. And that applicant is Kristen Lalonde. Go ahead, Commissioner Marino.
I think she'll be a good person to be on that board. She has contacted the board about some ideas she has for the buses and trips and all that stuff, roads.
Yeah, she has expressed interest in improving transportation in the county and regionally. And I applaud her effort. She's doing the right thing by rolling her sleeves up, getting on the board. So I applaud her for that. And moving on, item E will be consider appointing one member to the Isabella County Veterans Affairs Committee for a 4-year term effective June 2nd, 2022 until June 1st, 2026, or until a successor is appointed. We have 2 applicants there, Brenton Holbrook and Daniel Maloney. Neither of those gentlemen I know personally. They both had impressive applications and backgrounds, both veterans. So we'll be considering that tonight. And then moving on to committee reports, Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First up on the Finance Administration Committee, consider ratifying and placing on file the April 29th, 2022 invoice list in the amount of $535,222.32. The May 6, 2022 invoice list, the amount of $477,905.21, and the adjustment list dated May 12th, 2022. As always, I always mention this kind of ad nauseum here, but the commissioners receive these by email each week. We had a chance to review these invoices in committee. We really didn't find anything out of the ordinary. So commissioners, do you have anything in regards to the first two invoices on this? And they would be dated April 29th and May 6th. Hearing and seeing none from the commissioners, we'll move to the adjustment list. And the adjustment list contains Gordon Foods, City of Mount Pleasant, DTE Energy, all basically because to avoid late fee payments and early payment discounts. And also Gordon Foods, again, in the May 6, 2022 invoice list changes. There's a couple of things here and there, but nothing out of the ordinary. And they're just all minor corrections. Commissioners have any questions on that? Hearing and seeing none, Mr. Chairman, that will move forward to this evening.
Second item of business is consider approving the agreement between Isabella County and MGT of America Consulting LLC for the preparation of the county's fiscal year 2022, 2023, and 2024 cost allocation plans in the amount of $12,000, $12,500, and $13,000 respectively, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. This is something we do every year. We need to do it for financial reasons for our child care program, but I know that when I was Parks and Recreation Director and we applied for grants, I was able to use these same figures for in-kind match requirements of the DNR. So this is information that can be used by other departments, not only federal grants, but state grants. And it's also important to know what the costs are to be able to fairly assess the in-kind costs to the departments that pay those fees. Nicole, do you have anything you wish to add to this?
I would just say that MGT is a little new to us for, I think, about 30 years. Maximus prepared our cost plan, and then we went out for an RFP for those services in 2019. Since then, MGT has been the consultant that performed those services for us. It's been going very well, and I would say that when the last contract extension with MGT came forward to the board at Finance Committee, I mentioned that when this contract was over, we would have to do another RFP, and it was suggested of me, as our procurement policy allows for professional services, maybe should approach them to see if they would give us a proposal. And I think you can see that I think they've been very generous in their proposal of this 3-year contract. And then it comes with 2 optional years where they're keeping the price the same at the $13,000. So I'm not recommending at this time we go for the 4th and 5th year because, well, we have that opportunity of 3 more years of experience before we have to do that. My understanding is the cost is kept in place regardless. So my recommendation would be for the 3-year this time.
During this time of high inflation, it's nice to know, you can retain a professional service for $500 increase a year. And then even after the 3rd year, keep it at that level of $13,000 for a couple additional years. So any other questions or comments?
Comment, but it looks like MGT are the cost allocation plan experts. They do the cost allocation plans for 60 counties in the city of Kalamazoo. So,
We'll move this forward then to tonight's meeting.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that completes the work of the Finance Administration Committee for this business session.
thank you, gentlemen. That brings us down to criminal justice and county affairs, and Commissioner Swaney is carrying the load for that committee tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item, consider approving the Carpel interface request form for the victim notification interface between Carpel Solutions and APRIS in the amount of $1,000 for the implementation and an annual maintenance fee of $2,000 and authorize the board to sign. We have Isabella County Prosecutor Dave Barber on Zoom to run us through this.
Sure. Just as a kind of some background on the item, we had previously had a software called ACT, and that software had a direct interface with VineLink. Essentially, when we switched to Carpel, we lost that direct interface with VineLink. What this would allow us to do is to have more direct contact with victims so that they are able to look at VineLink, get some information, notifications sent to them automatically. So if someone were to parole out, if they were to be taken out of probation, released from jail, released from prison, et cetera, that victim would be able to sign up for automatic notification. The benefit obviously is just a continuation of services to the victim. As just kind of a general statement, the Carpel software has a lot of different interfaces. There may be some additional interface options coming before the board in the future that allow us to either better communicate with law enforcement or to better communicate with victims. This is one of those such requests, and we would ask that the approval be given for better service of the victims of crimes.
All right, are there any questions for Isabella County Prosecutor?
I guess if there's one thing I would add, I look at this as an additional cost, and I just want to be very clear that we did pay for that service previously with ACT. The payment was just made through the state, through our PAC-PAM services, and PAC-PAM contracted directly with APRIS to provide that for our victims. And Carpel does not do that directly. We pay Carpel separately, or we would pay this fee separately.
Thank you. I think it's a very good idea to keep our victims informed, timely, and continue this process. If there are no other questions, we'll bring this forward tonight. Thank you. Our second item, consider approving the submission of the fiscal year 2023 Swift Insure Sanctions Program grant application in the amount of $213,000. We have Terry Curtis and Carolyn Johnson here. Karen Johnson's on Zoom, I believe.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn Johnson. I'm the coordinator for the Swift Insure Sanctions Probation Program. As he stated, we are requesting $213,000 this year. That is $8,000 more than what we currently receive. This request takes into consideration anticipated increases in drug testing and supplies, transportation costs, wages and fringes as well. And we are currently on track to spend the amount that we received this year. That ends September 30th. We had received $205,000 this year. We currently have 24 participants in our program, and I feel that the program is going well.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Carolyn Johnson or Kerry Curtis? I know this is a program that we see every year, and we're glad it continues to go strong through especially through 2020, where it's up to be hands-on.
This is our 11th year.
Nice. All right, if there are no questions, we'll move this forward to the regular session tonight. Thank you, Carolyn Johnson, for joining us. Gary Curtis.
Thank you.
Go
Thank
ahead.
you for your support.
Our third item, consider approving the submission of the fiscal year 2023 Juvenile Treatment Court grant application in the amount of $99,095.15. And we have Maria Reuser with the Juvenile Court on Zoom as well.
Good evening, everybody. We are asking for just a little over $99,000, and this amount is more than what we were awarded for this year. And it was based on a study that we did, a financial study of the past 4 years and what our costs were to run the juvenile court, but also subtracting some of the support that we could also get from the child care fund. The state court administrator's office has asked that we come up with a budget that is more in line with actual figures and not something that is something that we would like, because they've changed the bid process from a competitive bid to a more of a award that matches reality. And so the budget that I came up with reflects our averages from the past 4 years, and the money is going to be earmarked for salaries and fringes, drug testing, both in-house and out of house, our screening instrument, and also an annual training held in Lance, or the annual statewide training. Thank you.
Yeah. I know, so last year we received 88,000, so this is an increase of just under 12,000. We cross our fingers that the state will approve this. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Again, how many years is this program?
So this program began, it went into operation in April of 2006.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Since there are no other questions, I'll move this forward to the regular session.
Thank you.
Our fourth item, consider approving the submission of fiscal year 2023 adult treatment court grant application in the amount of $139,363.87. And for the adult court, we have Kate Mitchell on Zoom.
Hi, we are asking for $139,000 this year. Last year, we asked for approximately 126, somewhere right around there. We received 66,000, so it barely got us through the year. It didn't even cover my position 100%. So the county graciously stepped in and gave us some money to keep the program going. We used some money from a 2% grant from 2 years ago for some of our incentives. So we're hoping this year that they would approve the entire thing. The 139 would go towards my wages and benefits. It would go towards drug testing in-house and at our local agency. It would pay for some incentives for the program participants, graduation awards, and our annual conference. And our program started in 2003, so we'll be going into its 20th year.
All right, commissioners, do you have any questions?
I was just going to say, it's been a couple of years since I've served on the Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee, but I think we have a very remarkable staff that bring services and try to address some very serious issues from people that are dealing with substance abuse. And we appreciate that. We know the state hasn't been giving large dollar increases, but we do a lot with the dollars we do get. And we thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We obviously, juvenile and adult drug treatment is preferred over incarceration, I think, and shown to be much more effective in the end. We'll move this forward to the regular session, hoping that we receive more generous amount than we did last year. Thank you.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, ends the work of Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee. Mr.
Thank
Mayor.
you, Commissioner. Brings us down to Human Resources and Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first item is consider approving fiscal year 2023 grant application between the Michigan Department of Military and Veteran Affairs, Michigan Veteran Affairs Agency, and Isabella County in the amount of $61,778 for enhanced veteran services operation, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have the Director of Veterans Affairs to explain this to us. Hi.
All right. So this year, the state of Michigan granted us only $63,104. Maybe you remember last year, we got a $75,000 The base rate, assuming all 83 counties apply, would be $50,000 per county. This year, I think they said 65 counties applied, so the remaining balance is then split up per capita by base population. So that left us with 63,000. I think less counties applied last year, so that's why we had a large amount. Plus, the state of Michigan rolls over every single year. None of that money can go back into general fund. So every time somebody doesn't use a dollar, it keeps rolling on and on and on. In fact, I think it was December or January, we got an additional 3,000. So we actually utilized about 70,000 last year. So this year, applying for 61,798, which includes continuing our advertising, the billboard ads, the ICTC bus ads. Had to reduce those a little bit because I actually spent a lot last year, so have less money to spend, but we're using those dollars efficiently. We are increasing, or excuse me, we're adding our Board of Commissioners, I'm sorry, Veterans Affairs Committee wanted their essentially photos on the ads. So I took my little photo in the office, which wasn't very good. So we're paying some money for a professional photographer this time to put their beautiful faces on the billboard ads. And I'm using, I've had very good luck with, I guess we'll call it swag, essentially giveaway items at the venues like the expos and such. They're great for getting people to the table to have conversations about benefits. I had good luck with the home show, with the Isabella County Fair that's also coming up, but I went to it last year as well. Here at the Commission on Aging, they had an expo, which was very successful. So these are great items to continue to help people. I think that was about it. Anybody have any questions?
Seeing or hearing none?
I
You
got one. I'm sorry. This is a little bit off topic, but we do have a vote on, sorry, let me just go up here. Isabella County Veteran Affairs Committee. Do you happen to know Bretton Holbrook or Daniel Maloney?
I do not, but
Okay.
I can't comment because technically they're my employer. They're the ones that actually hire me. They're my boss.
Okay.
So I couldn't have a comment if I wished to.
Good
I
to-
actually, to be honest with you, I was surprised to see them on the agenda.
Uh-huh.
The committee member, I don't know who is not reapplying, did not contact me and let me know. Usually they tell me that they're not going to reapply. So I didn't actually know about it. But I've never met those two gentlemen. So looking forward to work with them.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing you at the state fair again.
Absolutely.
Any more questions or comments?
Jerry?
You have an opening. Is that somebody decided not to run again? Who?
That's
What
why I
year?
said I don't know. Decided not to.
Oh,
What
okay.
it is, their time on the committee automatically expires. They technically have to reapply every time that it expires. Generally, in the past, the commissioners have always approved that, which, those people who want to do it, because obviously it's volunteer, but their applications apparently were not received, so they're choosing to step down. Again, I don't know. I just saw it here today when I came in, so I'll try to find out who it is.
Hopefully, whoever's term is coming to an end gets a notification of that because they may not even be thinking about it and be aware of it.
Yeah, the admin office actually sends them out many months at a time or
Okay.
whatever the period of time is. Yeah, they take care of that.
And the member is Lee Coughlin that did not, they would have been notified that the term was expiring and would have had an opportunity to apply. We do reach out.
Anything else on this item? Seeing and hearing none, this will be on our agenda tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 2, consider approving the Regional 7 Area Agency on Aging purchase of service provider agreement rate increase effective April 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2022, and authorize the board chair to sign the same. For Crawford here to give us some background.
Hello there. So we actually received a letter from Region 7 Area Agency on Aging, letting us know that due to the increased cost of providing business, they would like to increase our unit rate for the rest of this agreement. So effective April 1st through the September 30th, our unit rate will increase by 50 cents. And this is on our purchase of service or waiver contract that we have with them, which is very nice.
Yeah.
That,
Commissioner Jazinski has a question.
sure.
So how do you figure the unit rate? Is that part of their payroll or is that part of your reimbursement?
A reimbursement rate. So the unit rates are 15 minutes, so they're quarter hour increments. So when we provide the service and we would send our report to them, then they reimburse us for the services.
Thank you.
How many people does this affect?
The waiver program, for this one, this is the in-home, and it is not a lot of clients. I think right now, just, we have probably been serving probably just a handful of in-home only, and primarily because we've been short-staffed ourselves. We've had vacancies since pre-pandemic in both our homemaking and personal care services. So we're definitely making sure that we're meeting the services of our clients first. And then if we do have time, then we are able to allocate that time, that staff time, to the waiver program. But our where we do provide more services in waiver would be in our home delivered meals. And in that program, we serve quite a lot of clients.
Other questions? Seeing none, we'll move that forward to tonight's.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is consider approving the contract with Spence Brothers for Isabella County Administration Building Roof Replacement Project in the amount of $248,000 and authorize the board chair to sign the same. We have Steve Schumacher here, Facilities Director, to give us background on this. Hi, Steve.
Good afternoon. So the roof on the administration building is quite old and in quite disrepair. Been patching it for probably, I'm gonna guess 6 to 7 years, I've been told, because I haven't been here that long. It's about past that point. We've had leaks in the 3rd floor. We've had leaks coming all the way down to the 2nd floor. When the government put out the ARPA money, we decided that we would put out an RFP for both an HVAC system up there that is quite old and failing and a new roof. We had 3 contractors that showed up for the mandatory meeting. 2 gave bids. One was Greenwald in BC, and their estimated cost of the total project was $2,243,211. And Spence Brothers, $2,396,939. When we were in question whether or not the ARPA money would be used for the HVAC, we decided to put out an all-in replacement cost for the roof. Greenwald and BC came in with a 30-year warranty at a cost of $378,811. And Spence Brothers offered a 20-year warranty at a cost of $248,000. We had talked about it and decided that while the 30-year warranty was much more appealing than the 20, the 50% increase in cost was quite a bit of difference. We could take and put another skin of rubber over top of that in 20 years and extend the life of that for another probably 10, 15, much like we're gonna have to do on the courthouse in the coming 3 years probably. So we decided to go with Spence Brothers.
I have a question. So then that doesn't, you took out the HVAC? Okay, got it. I just wanted to make that clear. Any other questions or comments on this? Go ahead.
So when it comes time to replace the HVAC, is there a potential that it could damage the membrane?
Yeah, I wanted to do both together for that reason, do the HVAC first and replace all that and then put the roof down. But I'm sure whoever comes in is gonna lay enough down, protective foundation down on that roof so that we don't have to worry about that. That shouldn't be a problem.
So by doing them separately, is it gonna cost more than doing each one individually?
We didn't bid out just the HVAC itself, so I can't answer that question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Chair?
Just a comment, but this will add a little over 5 inches of insulation up there, which will be nice. Will help with our heating and cooling costs. I think that's quite a bit more than what we have on there currently.
And what's up there is saturated. So, I mean,
Right, so it's not, doesn't
got a
work.
very good art value at all.
Yep, and it's ISO insulation, which is a heavy foam board type thing, double layer. with the 50 mil membrane, which is pretty good system from what I understand. I do have one question. I see Mr. Keeler on here. Maybe this is a question for him. But the report mentions a mechanically attached membrane. I guess, I don't know what that means. Can you?
Well, there's two different methods. You could either mechanically fasten it, which is putting it down with screws, or you're fully adhered, which is more of a glue application. This is a Duralast product, and the system they proposed was screwed in, not the fully adhered system. So Duralast, they manufacture it all right here in Saginaw. It's a Michigan product, and we've used it a number of times on projects across the state.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any more questions? Very good questions. Seeing none, hearing none, we'll put this on the agenda tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last item, number 4, consider approving the organizational of the front business office portion of community development and inspection department, eliminating both the administrative assistant 2 position and adding administrative coordinator position at a non-union employee pay grade 10 and a administrative assistant 3 position at the non-union employee pay grade 8, effective immediately, and authorize the board chair to sign budget amendment 2022-05.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Last but not least, I hope. So this is something that Administrator Frost and I have been talking about for several weeks. I have a long-term, long-standing administrative assistant in the office who is resigning, retiring next week. And we thought that this was a great opportunity for us to take a look at our front business office operations. I've been in the department a very long time and can assess what duties and functions that we need today versus what we had potentially in the past. We thought because of this vacancy and hiring a new position and doing this at a different time, this was the right time for us to take a look. So what we did, we basically, I sat back and took a look at the duties and functions, the things and how we operate today and how we can provide efficiencies within the department to some of our staff, our inspectors, for example, who are licensed. We only have one of each of those in the department. Nobody else can perform the duties that they perform. So we want to make sure that we're getting them into the field to do their inspection work, the pieces that they're certified to do as efficiently as we can, so we can continue to provide the number of inspections that we need to provide as we continue to get busier. Through the turbine project, it was quite extensive. We had a lot of additional work and additional flow. We changed things over time and through the process. So some of the duties and functions we found sort of migrated their way over to the staff. Others, they were just sort of assigned by me to be handled. So we took a look and we determined that we would benefit better from having an administrative assistant 3 and an administrative coordinator. Both of which are positions that are currently classified in our classification system and are positions that are held in other departments as well throughout the county. Obviously, while reviewing and determining what was going to be best to create these efficiencies and to do the things that we need to do, as well as the functions that they're currently doing, we obviously needed to take a look at the financial impact that it would have. So one of those positions, the administrative assistant for fiscal year 22 is going to have approximately 1,000, I think that, yeah, it has $1,025 roughly impact, which is 100% funded through the Building Inspections Fund. The Building Inspections Fund current fund balance is somewhere right around $700,000. The other position, going from an administrative 2 to the administrative assistant 3, is a 50-50 split between the two departments. So 50% of that is handled in community development, which is general fund, and the other 50% is handled through the building inspections fund. So the net result is 1.5 of these FTEs, 1.5 of these employees is paid for through the building inspections fund, while the other half is incurred by the general fund. When we took a look at the F-22 year ending from this point moving forward, we had $1,025 in the one fund and a savings of just over $400 in the other fund. So between the two for fiscal year 22, the impact would be a savings to the general fund overall of about a couple $100, just over $200. And the net result on the building inspections fund would be about $800 impact. We did run those numbers again into fiscal 23 if this were to all carry through and we were to continue on into 23. And I believe those numbers came up at about $3,400 for one of the positions and about $1,300 expense to the other. That $1,300 would be half to inspections and half to the general fund. So we're about a $600 impact next year. And roughly about a just over $4,000 impact to the building inspections fund. So based on, us looking at the duties, responsibilities, and functions and making this recommendation to reorganize the department effective immediately, we felt that one, it benefits us better. It's going to provide much more efficiencies within the department to continue to do some things, continue to build on some workflow and some notice activities and functions, as well as being fiscally responsible and trying not to break the bank while we make these modifications and moves. So I think I've outlined pretty much everything I had in my staff report. I don't know if there's anything additional that you would like to know from me about this, or if you have any questions for me.
Go ahead, Mr. Chair.
I just want to say I appreciate you not breaking the bank. But it does make sense with some staff turnover. Now's the time to look at how your department operates and what efficiencies can be had. Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, and I want to say that it's good to see that staff in several places here tonight are working together to come up with solutions and good for everybody. So,
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, with that being said, we'll move this forward to tonight's meeting.
That will conclude the work of the Human Resources and Public Works Committee. Thank you, Mr. Newport.
That will bring us down to intergovernmental affairs, of which we have none. We have no administrator controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. Brings us to general public comments. Now would be the time, if you're online, to raise your hand. Or if you're in the live audience, to step up to the podium. I see no hands raised, and I see Michelle shaking her head. We have none. So we'll move on to announcements. Commissioners, anyone have any announcements? Commissioner Jelzinski.
I put a sheet of paper in front of all your positions on June 2nd. Shepherd, which happens to be a very lively spirited community, is going to have a event called Dueling Pianos. If you did it last year in September for the first time, it was a hoot. Good music, good social event. There's no charge to enter. And they'll have food vendors there, and you can get beverages from the Shepherd Bar, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. But it is really a good time. It's something I encourage you all to take in.
Sounds like fun. Anything else? Okay, seeing nothing else, I'd just like to mention that tomorrow at 2 we'll be meeting at the what's it called?
Public Defender's Office.
Yeah, at the Public Defender's Office at 2 p.m. for a strategy session with the board. I think that's going to be real non-formal. I would encourage department heads to come if you're able to. That'd be a great time to throw your 2 cents in. Any of the department heads, we are interested in working with all of the departments. We're in the midst of budget process, so we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about where we want to go with the jail project. We met with representatives from Clark Construction and Integrated Architecture yesterday. Didn't really come to any solid conclusions, but we are, as you know, when they sent out the bids, they came back significantly higher than what we expected. So we're kind of in the midst of trying to figure out how to move forward from there. So that'll be tomorrow at 2 at the Public Defender's Office. Also at 7, the Council on Governments meets at the Administration Building, I think.
Yep, 320.
320. And that's all I have. Anyone else have anything? And is there a motion to adjourn?
So move. Jelazinski.
Favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 4:54. I think so. We had a lot of items.